Imagine sending an invoice to your client, not for the product you just sold them, but for the 45 minutes you spent explaining how the product actually works.
Oh, they would absolutely laugh you right out of the room.
Right. You would never do that. I mean, it's absurd.
Completely.
But, think about how often you find yourself in that exact position, like acting as a completely uncompensated educator.
Yeah, all the time. You're breaking down a project timeline
Or
or
walking a new customer through, the really intricate details of a service you provide.
exactly, or explaining the complex sourcing of your materials. You spend an entire hour giving a literal masterclass on your industry just to get everyone on the same page.
And what do you actually get for it? A polite nod.
Yeah.
Maybe a sale, if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
But professionally speaking, you get zero formal credit for that intellectual labor.
None. It is entirely unquantified effort. I mean, you're acting as an educator, but you are permanently categorized merely as a vendor.
Which is so frustrating.
It is. That time just, well, it evaporates the moment the conversation ends. It leaves no professional trail whatsoever.
But what if that reality was permanently changing? Because our mission today for this deep dive is to explore a really fascinating new paradigm.
A total shift, yeah.
Where that everyday invisible act of explaining your business to a customer is transformed into a highly valuable, nationally recognized professional credential.
It's honestly brilliant.
We are looking at a system that has actually turned this invisible labor into a verifiable currency.
Which sounds like science fiction, but it's happening right now.
It is, and our sole focus today is on a presentation deck. It's called Empowering the Business Ecosystem, the CPD Integration Initiative.
Right.
And this was created by the RAFIDH School of Entrepreneurship, which is under the Think Plus Learning Bank.
Yeah, and it is just a masterclass in rethinking the underlying economics of, well, human interaction in business.
Yeah.
Right now, Think Plus is applying this system directly within Malaysia's sustainability sector, where business owners are constantly having to educate their market.
Because it's such a new field for so many people.
Exactly. But the mechanics of what they've built here, I mean, they have profound universal implications for how we value knowledge transfer anywhere.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core problem this initiative addresses is going to sound incredibly familiar to anyone out there trying to innovate.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at entrepreneurs in Malaysia, right, specifically in the sustainability space, they spend a completely disproportionate amount of their week acting as informal tutors.
Yes. They're explaining the nuances of, organic product ingredients.
Or they are detailing something called the Sustainability Integration Model, or SIM.
Right, and we should probably clarify what that actually is.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because it really highlights the burden placed on the business owner. So the Sustainability Integration Model is essentially a really complex blueprint.
For how companies transition, right.
Yeah. Exactly. How a traditional company transitions to green practices without going bankrupt in the process.
Which is a huge concern.
Oh, massive.
Yeah.
It involves, circular economics, waste reduction, entirely new supply chains.
That's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. So when an entrepreneur is pitching a service based on SIM, they aren't just saying, hey, buy my product.
Right.
They're having to teach the client an entirely new way of looking at commerce itself.
Yeah, they are investing immense time just getting their community up to speed before a transaction can even take place. It's like spending hours being an unpaid, uncredited tutor for your own industry.
That's a perfect analogy.
But, I do have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Because we need to push back on this premise just a bit. Isn't explaining your product just the basic cost of doing business? I mean, if I want to sell you a highly complex software package, I have to teach you how to use it. That is just customer acquisition. Why on earth should we expect a gold star or a special credential just for doing the baseline work of selling?
Right, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But we connect this to the bigger picture. Yeah. We have to understand the paradigm shift that Think Plus Academy is proposing here.
Okay, lay it on me.
They are fundamentally reframing the interaction from an extractive sales pitch to actual community education.
Extractive versus educational.
Okay, right. Because there's a massive difference between selling a known commodity, like, I don't know, a standard T-shirt.
Yeah, everyone knows what a T-shirt is.
Exactly. Selling that versus selling a paradigm shift, like sustainable agriculture.
I see.
When a business owner takes the time to thoroughly explain the sustainable sourcing of an ingredient, they are raising the baseline knowledge of the entire market.
They're making the whole ecosystem smarter.
Exactly. Think Plus is asking a really profound question. What if every single hour you spent elevating the community's knowledge actually counted toward your professional standing?
Wow.
And not just your standing. What if it counted toward your client's career growth as well?
That is the pivot right there. It stops being an annoying sales hurdle and starts being like a recognized educational seminar.
Exactly.
And the way they are operationalizing this is by introducing a literal currency of knowledge.
Yeah, the mechanics are fascinating.
Let's get into the mechanics of the solution Think Plus Academy has created. They call it Continuing Professional Development, or CPD points.
Specifically tailored for business owners.
Right. They have essentially built an auditable ledger for your intellectual capital.
And the structure is designed to take that abstract, kind of fuzzy concept of sharing knowledge.
Which is hard to measure.
Very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But they give it a very rigid, measurable framework. It gives actual weight to the invisible labor.
Let's look at the exact math behind this, because this is where the framework gets incredibly tangible for you listening.
Yeah, the numbers make it very real.
For every 1 hour of qualifying educational interaction, 1 CPD point is awarded.
But they don't just leave it as an arbitrary point.
No, they don't. They actually put a monetary valuation on it. The framework values this at a rate of 50 Malaysian ringgit.
Per person.
Right, 50 ringgit per person per hour of education delivered.
They are literally putting a price tag on the knowledge transfer happening in that room.
And here's the truly brilliant part of the mechanism. It's a symbiotic system.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
When that hour of education is completed, 1 CPD point goes to the entrepreneur who did the teaching.
Right.
But 1 CPD point also goes to the participant who did the learning.
It is a dual benefit. Both parties grow their professional standing simultaneously.
That is fascinating. It creates a literal microeconomy of learning. It's almost like a frequent flyer program, but instead of buying flights, you are buying attention and engagement.
That's a really good way to look at it.
But wait, I need to challenge the logistics of this for a second. Because if I am an entrepreneur, what stops me from logging, like a 45-minute lunch where a client and I mostly just gossiped, and then I mentioned my eco-friendly packaging for maybe 5 minutes?
Ah, yes, the coffee chat loophole.
Right. Do we both magically get points for that? Because that seems like a loophole you could drive a truck through?
It's a vital question, and the Think Plus framework is explicitly designed with friction to prevent exactly that scenario.
Okay, so how do they stop it?
You cannot just retroactively claim a casual coffee chat as an educational seminar. The sessions must be substantive.
Meaning?
Meaning, the key mechanism is that they must be formally registered through the Think Plus Learning Bank ecosystem beforehand.
Ah, so the friction is actually the feature. Explain how that verification works in practice.
Well, it requires intentionality. Before the meeting happens, the entrepreneur has to formalize the intent. They register the session, essentially declaring a syllabus or a core topic.
Like, today we are discussing the mechanics of biodegradable packaging.
Exactly. And they log the attendees. But within that requirement for formal registration, the system is highly flexible.
So it doesn't have to be a sterile classroom.
Not at all.
Oh.
The qualifying formats can be Zoom meetings, face-to-face live sessions, or even one-on-one product demonstrations.
But the formalization ensures both parties enter the interaction knowing it is an educational exchange, not just a casual catch-up.
Precisely.
So if I am doing a dedicated Zoom call to walk a client through how my sustainable packaging integrates with their supply chain,
Right.
I register that session in the learning bank, I log the attendee, and boom, we both earn a point for that hour.
Yeah. It turns your messy calendar of client calls into an official, verifiable transcript of educational delivery.
That is incredible.
It forces the entrepreneur to be highly intentional about the educational value they're providing, and it rewards the client for their active attention.
Because they're actually willing to learn something new.
Exactly.
You know, what is really striking to me as we dive into this framework is the language Think Plus Academy uses to describe all of this.
Oh, the terminology is so unique.
They do not talk about this like a traditional, sterile corporate training program at all.
What's fascinating here is how they frame this entire initiative using the language of ecology.
Yes.
They lean heavily into environmental metaphors, which is, incredibly fitting given they are targeting sustainability entrepreneurs.
They compare market information to nutrients flowing through soil.
Right.
There is this beautiful concept in their framework of replanting the the hour.
I love that phrase.
Right. Think of standard sales like extracting nutrients from the soil. You make your pitch, you get the sale, but you've depleted your own time and energy.
The one-way street.
Exactly. But under the CPD initiative, when you, as an entrepreneur, register an educational session, you are not just extracting a sale. You are taking that hour of effort and replanting it back into the ecosystem.
The framework refers to building a thriving biomass of shared knowledge.
Biomass. That is such a cool way to put it. The point system is basically just measuring that root growth.
Huh.
No hour of education is ever wasted. It becomes a seed.
It is a really powerful way to visualize your daily calendar. Instead of just accumulating a high score in a database or hitting a sales quota, you're cultivating a landscape.
Yeah.
And the more you teach, the richer the soil of your local business community becomes. When a community understands sustainability better, the demand for sustainable products naturally rises.
It's a virtuous cycle. And here's where it gets really interesting, because you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great for like high-level tech consultants or environmental scientists or policy wonks.
Sure, the usual suspects.
Right. But if you look at who is actually adopting this on the ground, the broad industry application is staggering.
It really is.
This framework is not limited to a tiny, highly technical niche. The initiative outlines the CPD model applying to complex fields like artificial intelligence and smart farmability, sure.
Which you'd expect.
But it also explicitly includes black soldier fly farming, sustainable tourism, halal certification consulting, and this is honestly my favorite. There is a specific module for a men and women's hair salon.
That breadth is so crucial because it proves their central thesis. Every forward-thinking business requires education.
Let's talk about that hair salon example because it perfectly illustrates the micro-level impact.
Okay, let's look at it. A salon owner isn't just cutting hair. If they are committed to sustainability, they are explaining the benefits of, say, non-toxic sustainable hair dyes to a client in the chair.
Right. They are discussing chemical runoff, water safety, personal health.
Exactly. And that is genuine sustainability education.
Imagine sitting in a salon chair, right? You're getting a treatment, and the stylist says, by the way, I've formally registered this consultation as a sustainability education session because of the organic zero-waste products we are discussing today.
And then they tell you,
You are actually going to earn a CPD professional development point just for being here and learning about this.
as a customer, your mind would be blown.
Totally blown.
And that leads to a profound psychological shift on both sides of the chair.
How so?
Well, by documenting that session, the entrepreneur transitions from being viewed merely as a seller pushing a premium product.
Right, trying to upsell you.
Exactly. They transition from that to a certified subject matter authority who is actively educating their community.
It totally changes the power dynamic. The customer isn't just being marketed to, they're being invested in.
Yes.
When customers earn points just for listening and engaging with your business process, it creates incredible brand loyalty. You are giving them a tangible benefit professional development credit simply for interacting with you.
Precisely. It transforms a purely transactional relationship into an educational partnership. The customer feels valued for their time and attention.
Which, honestly, in today's economy is arguably their most precious resource.
Oh, without a doubt.
But cultivating a rich local ecosystem and shifting psychological dynamics, I mean, those are nice philosophical ideas.
They are.
But eventually, business owners need tangible ROI to survive. So how does this biomass actually put food on the table or advance a career?
We have to talk about the rewards.
Let's pivot to the ultimate question. What do these points actually buy you?
Because a currency, even a currency of knowledge, is only as valuable as what it can be redeemed for in the real world.
Exactly. The Think Plus initiative outlines specific entrepreneur redemption milestones.
And interestingly, they track this directly by the number of participants trained, rather than just raw hours logged.
Which makes sense. It's a metric of your reach, your leadership, and your community impact.
Right.
Let's look at the first major milestone. When an entrepreneur successfully trains 50 participants through these registered sessions.
So these people, okay.
Yeah, 50. They can redeem their record for an advanced certificate in applied sustainable practice.
Which is a solid credential. But the value extends way beyond just a certificate.
So
Reaching that 50 participant milestone also qualifies the entrepreneur for a Green XT or Greenovation Award.
okay, wow.
Yeah, under the Malaysia Global Sustainability Awards, which is commonly referred to as the MGSA.
We should probably define what that actually means for their career.
Definitely.
The MGSA is a premier national platform recognizing real, measurable impact in the green sector. And categories like Green XT and Green Innovation are specifically designed to honor forward-thinking, sustainable business practices.
That is a significant leap in professional standing. You go from having private, completely uncredited conversations in a Zoom room or a salon.
Just talking into the void.
Right. You go from that to holding a formal advanced certificate and being in the running for a major national sustainability award.
It completely validates that invisible labor we talked about at the very beginning.
It really does. It provides third-party verification that you are a leader in your field.
And then there's the next tier. If you double your impact and reach 100 participants trained, you qualify for the prestigious Elite Awards.
The Elite Awards, yeah.
This is described in the deck as a nationally recognized honor specifically reserved for entrepreneurs who have demonstrated exceptional, sustained impact and reach in sustainability education.
It is the absolute gold standard for community education in this ecosystem.
It creates a gamified but highly meaningful ladder of professional development for the business owner. Every meeting is a step up that ladder.
But, we must also address the participant side of the equation.
Right, the clients.
We established early on that this is a dual benefit system.
Yes.
What happens to the points the clients are earning while they sit in the salon or on the Zoom call or tour the Black Soldier Fly Farm?
Right, because if I am the client and I have accumulated like 5 or 10 points from talking to different sustainable vendors over the course of a few months.
What do you do with them?
Exactly. What do I actually do with them? I'm not the one running the business.
Well, the framework lays out a very clear, highly desirable redemption path for the learner as well.
Okay, let's hear it.
If a client accumulates 10 CPD points, which equates to 10 hours of active learning across any of these registered sessions, it unlocks a specific reward.
10 points. Got it.
They can redeem those 10 points for an entry ticket to the MGSA award ceremony.
Wait, the actual ceremony?
Yes, the one hosted by SUSNet.
And SUSNet is the organizing network behind these massive industry events. So let me make sure I have this straight because it sounds almost too good to be true.
It's pretty amazing.
I sit through 10 hours of product demos and consultations with various sustainable businesses. I learn about organic farming, eco-friendly hair care, maybe some complex halal certification processes for a food startup I'm working on.
All good stuff.
And just for being an active, engaged consumer in this ecosystem, I get an entry ticket to a major national award ceremony.
Exactly.
I get to walk into a ballroom and network with the top sustainability leaders, investors, and innovators in the entire country.
That is exactly how the mechanism works. It democratizes access to high-level industry networking.
I hear you, but let me push back one more time.
Okay, what's the catch?
If a customer is just earning points to get a free ticket to an award ceremony so they can network or just, have a fancy night out, aren't we just bribing them to listen to a sales pitch? Does that actually result in real learning? Or is it just a clever marketing gimmick?
It's a totally fair critique, but we have to look at the required intentionality again.
Okay.
If a client sits through 10 hours of registered substantive sustainability education, even if their initial motivation was just to get a ticket to an awards gala, they have still absorbed 10 hours of market-raising knowledge.
That's true. They can't unhear it.
Right. The bribe, as you call it, is merely the catalyst. By the time they earn that ticket, they understand circular economics, sustainable sourcing, and green technologies far better than they did 10 hours ago.
So the baseline education of the market has successfully been raised regardless.
Exactly.
That makes total sense. The friction of the system ensures the medicine goes down, even if a ticket is the spoonful of sugar. If we synthesize the complete value chain here, the flow is incredibly elegant. You pre-register the session, which formalizes the educational intent.
Right.
The meeting happens, and both parties earn points, creating immediate mutual value. You convert those auditable records into awards eligibility or event access.
Yep.
And ultimately, both the teacher and the learner receive national recognition and networking opportunities.
It is a compounding system that consistently rewards the act of sharing knowledge.
It's brilliant.
It is a closed loop of value creation. The entrepreneur teaches, enriching the community, and earning the right to be at the award ceremony as a celebrated nominee.
And the client?
The client learns, upgrading their own knowledge and earning the right to be at the exact same ceremony as an engaged community member.
They meet there, they celebrate the growth they achieve together, and the entire ecosystem gets stronger.
It fundamentally changes the incentive structure of a business interaction. The innate friction and suspicion of the traditional sales pitch is entirely replaced by the mutual verifiable benefit of the learning session.
So what does this all mean? If we zoom all the way out, this CPD Integration Initiative by the RAFIDH School of Entrepreneurship is doing something quietly
I
revolutionary.
agree completely.
It is taking the invisible labor of explaining your work, the exhausting, repetitive, traditionally uncredited hours you spend educating people just to get them to a baseline level of understanding,
Yeah.
and it is turning it into a verifiable, scalable impact portfolio. It is quite literally making the invisible visible.
And highly valuable. It turns wasted breath into career capital.
Exactly. If you were a business owner in Malaysia right now, operating anywhere near the sustainability space, your immediate next step would be crystal clear based on this framework.
Oh, absolutely.
You would go to thinkplusg.com, you would enroll your business profile in the ThinkPlus Learning Bank, you would meticulously register your very next Zoom call or product demo,
Every single one.
and you would physically watch your professional legacy, your biomass, begin to grow point by point.
It is a compelling, actionable blueprint for their specific audience in Malaysia.
Oh, sure.
But as we wrap up today's deep dive, I think there is a broader, almost philosophical implication here for everyone listening.
Okay, let's hear it.
Regardless of where you live, what industry you operate in, or whether your business has anything to do with sustainability.
I completely agree. Because the pain of uncredited explanation is universal.
Exactly.
What is the ultimate takeaway for the listener who might be sitting in a corporate office in London, or running a software startup in Silicon Valley, or managing a creative team in Tokyo?
We have spent the last several minutes seeing how this precise model applies to sustainability entrepreneurs in Southeast Asia. But I want you to imagine applying this exact framework to your own life and your own daily interactions.
Wow. Okay.
Think about the massive hidden economy of your own expertise.
Yeah.
If every single hour you spent unofficially explaining your specialized knowledge to colleagues, or walking friends through a difficult technical concept, or patiently mentoring junior team members.
If all of that was tracked.
Yes. If all that was tracked as an official, redeemable currency, what kind of elite credentials would you have already unlocked by now?
I'd probably have a few PhDs.
Right. And if we actually built a society that possessed the tools to track and reward that intellectual generosity,
Yeah.
how might that radically change the way we value everyday human conversation?